Okay, my name is João. Actually, I'm originally from Brazil, São Paulo, but now I'm living in Brisbane, Australia. And well, I have been living here for 1 year, and I have been a remarkable experience. Try to improve my English. So yeah.
Okay, so my name is Alexandre Zaslavski. I live in Foz do Iguaçu, and I'm a volunteer since 1999. And I work with, I am a philosophy teacher in high school here in Foz do Iguaçu. And it is challenging to do this in English, but a good challenge. So should we start with the debate?
Well, yeah. Well, today we are going to discuss 3 topics: energosomaticity, psychosomaticity, and mentalsomaticity. It looks like it's quite this basic topics, but we can go deep, understand better in practice what we can have, what kind of result we have. So I'd like to call the attention of everyone, because we know that in Conscientiology, we say 99% of practice and 1% of theory. That's why, otherwise it doesn't make sense, the Conscientiology, you know. So based on the special Conscientiology, don't believe in anything, not even what you hear at IPC experiment, have your own experience. It means we need to put in practice, otherwise everything is theory, you know. So someone read the chapter, would like to come out with one of topic, or what do you think, guys? How would you like to start? Or otherwise, I can put some. Yeah, Alexandre.
I was going to comment that it's a bit difficult to pick just one because it's a very big part. You know, we have more than 50 chapters, and as João said, they are very important in Conscientiology because they represent this practical part of Conscientiology, directly connected to Projectiology. So it's a lot to discuss, but mainly practical approaches. But I think we should pick something up to begin.
You know, just to point some things, there's lots of chapters here, and but I like, usually in the end, when this book talk about mental soma, no? The author talk about mental soma and memory. And I was impacted by those things about memories, you know? How memory is important to our life, to our proexis. He brings up that thing about memory, you know? Even to our projection. And so was something that I like a lot.
We have an expert here. Roberto is here with us, and he studies that. So maybe would you like to comment, Roberto?
Well, I would like to wait you discuss first to see your thoughts about to comment.
Not so many thoughts.
Because otherwise I will push my ideas on you.
Okay. Well, but what I can comment is mainly since I don't study memory, but I can comment about my experience. Well, memory seems really important to consciousness because consciousness is a connection of memories. in a way. So if a person loses their memory, it's like they lose consciousness itself. So it's very basic thing. And this is like a general comment, but specifically, we are, well, a little bit that I've been studying. Memory, it's very connected to emotions. So it seems that emotions, they work as like a fixing element to memories. So especially for us who want to do like recycling and to do self-evolve, memories, they are always coming back because of emotions which trigger them. So it's just a very deep topic, actually.
Yeah, evolutionary speaking, sorry, I think memories is related with our personality, what kind of we can associate the ideas, and how you can develop your experience. Otherwise, if you don't remember your experience, you can compare, you can try to a different experience. So yeah, I think it's very important to go deep and to understand better your behavior. So memories is very important for our evolution.
Yeah, I would like to add just a little, one more thing, which I am studying more recently, and I find it very intriguing and important, is the relationship between memory and forgiveness. Because in a way, to forgive someone is to be able to let a memory go or to reprocess a memory. So I find this link very intriguing, you know, between memory and forgiveness.
There's on that point, there's an interesting chapter 272, the energetic asepsis technique. And, you know, it's all about like cleaning your past to a degree, and certain experience you've had where you were releasing certain thoughts and emotions and sentiments and so on. And then the asepsis is basically going back and cleaning those. So it's combining the use of your memory to identify where did certain things happen. And interesting if we think that this could be past lives as well, you know, so you're in a certain city in a foreign country and you start to feel things and evoke the consciexes from that environment and have all the repercussions from that. But then this point, like, okay, you've got the emotion, you've got the memory, and then what do you do with that? So those next steps in terms of doing something proactive with your energies to make those environments better for you and for all the other people who are going there after you. And at this time when a lot of people, like here in Australia, a lot of people are going back home to live. They can't afford to be paying rent, or because of the lockdowns that we had, the better place for them to be was at home. So a lot of people are going back home to places where they, you know, there was a lot of different experience, good and not so good ones. But then you can go there and you can use those moments to actually clean a lot of the past. So it's interesting, just the combination of things, the memory, the energetic, and so forth.
And I think another key point of memory is based on the self-discernment about mental soma. And I would like to ask you guys one question to people to take part more in our meeting. About what you think we can influence the people or around us, but at the same time we are influenced, you know. So how we can improve our self-discernment when you are in different places, you know? What do you think, how you can improve your self-discernment, your memory about this fact?
No, I think it's a good question, João. Self-discernment, like, so basically, what do we mean? What do you mean by self-discernment? I suppose is one thing I could ask.
Yeah, I mean, we have a different moments, you know. Maybe you don't feel you are really your natural behavior. So sometimes we are influenced by your emotions or by your discernment. So how we can improve this kind of situation?
Can I suggest a chapter related to
Yeah.
that? It's chapter 310, 310. The self-experience of your consciential attributes. And item 10 is about self-discernment. Self-discernment, it's also a huge topic because it has to do with everything here. One could improve their self-discernment by working with the energies and getting your energosoma more loose. It helps self-discernment. So, but of course, self-discernment comes from the mental soma. But so I understand it basically as a analytic capacity or faculty. So to discriminate and to make differences between everything. So the more sharp is this ability to analyze and to make differences, the better the self-discernment in thesis.
Yes and no. I've been doing this class recently where it's a dancing class, you know, but it's all about going through archetypes related to the feminine. And what I've found, well, just on Monday, they were playing the music. We discussed the sort of aspects of the archetype. I started dancing, pains came up. I went into my body. I felt into the pain. You know, I shifted some things. I was ballooning, like, so by the end of that whole 3 hours, my my aura, you know, my energy was out here. I was sleeping, I was levitating on my bed that night, you know, and I would say that for the next, until like Wednesday morning where I got no sleep whatsoever. And so, you know, it destroyed everything. But like from that Monday night till that Wednesday morning, I was, I'm sorry to say it, I was orgasmic. Like I was walking along the street and all of a sudden it was like, whoa, okay, that's great, thank you. And that wasn't anything to do with the mental soma as such. It was more to do with the emotions, dealing with emotions that came up. So it was recognizing that connection between the body and the emotions and clearing the emotions, which, okay, that requires some mental somatic activity. But really, when I was in that state, I shut down the brain altogether and I was just dancing it out, you know. So I'm just putting that out there.
Could that also, I'm wondering, have to do with the ENERGOSOMA as well? You know, the movements that she was doing was actually working with her energies in some way.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. But I'm finding that the more that I can shut my brain down and not overthink things, because I'm a great overthinker, the easier it becomes to work with the energies.
Yeah, I think it is a good point you're making, because the holosoma is an integrated system. So one vehicle influences the other, and psychosoma probably, or certainly, is the less understood vehicle, I suppose, and less mature vehicle. I think we could say that. So the moment once a person gets more in touch with their psychosoma, but with this intention to evolve, say that, the better. So I think your point makes sense. But what you said about I'm shutting the brain, I don't know, I don't remember the name you said, but the brain is different than the mental soma. I think you understand that, because mental soma is another vehicle. So you could have this influence from the mental soma through the energosoma, and not using the brain, at least using very little of the brain.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
A few of the talks are reminding me of the idea of intoxication, you know, like being intoxicated by an environment, being intoxicated by our thoughts, being intoxicated by our emotions, and then the process of deintoxication. And so thinking in terms of, you know, self-discernment and so forth, I mean, it comes down to, well, perhaps one of the prime uses of your discernment is to help yourself to be less intoxicated in all the different aspects, right? And so to what degree, you talked about the psychosoma being not a very evolved body. So to what degree does our psychosoma intoxicate, or I wouldn't necessarily say poison, but you know, it can have negative influences on us. And also, of course, it can have positive influences on us. And so that whole difficulty of unraveling and organizing all those emotions and memories and the energies, whether they be from the past, the present, or things you're thinking about the future, that's fascinating in this regard. So it's just an observation I wanted to blabber on about.
Yeah, I would like to add some observation too. It's possible. Okay. I was thinking about self-discernment, and this is the key task of mental soma. And I think one aspect of mental soma in terms of self-discernment is develop a kind of overarching or supervision in terms of our docility. You know, that is why I usually work with the idea of metatocenity, like a kind of thoughts or tocenes about tocenes about tocenes. That is metatocenity. And that is what we do. We are every day with our holosoma producing tocenes. The tocene can be produced by our soma, our brain, our psychosoma. Everywhere is producing tocenes, but there is a kind of tocene that is a specific type that create self-consciousness. That is what we call this self-discernment, that we can look what is happening inside of us, because it's always integrated. That is the reason that when people sometimes confuse the brain activity, too much thoughts created by the brain, the stimulus. This is not mental soma. There's a kind of internal imbalance.
I would like to contribute with some idea. I think self-discernment, for us, we all are in this intraphysical life, which is a big energetic bubble. And if we can't, in my experience, I think when I lose my self-discernment or the perception of my tocenes, or my level of lucidity, I tend to think, I tend to move more my energy. And the chapters that we worked here, there is one specifically that Professor Val talks about the expansion of your consciential energy. And you do exercise, you swimming, you do physical activity in order to expand this energy. And I think self-discernment, despite of being an attribute of our mental soma, it starts with our energetical body and also our physical body, because they are impacting all of them. No, all the bodies are interconnected, impacted each other, no, in a sense. And so, and these chapters that we've read, now that I've read, I thought that point is very important, how important it is. We can control our energy, we can be aware of the impact of the other people's energy in our micro-universe, and our micro-universe, our energy is impacting other people and the environment where we are. I think Jeffy said at the beginning, you go back to your hometown, you go to a new country, you have your history in those places, and so immediately you suffer the impact of that. And if we don't have the energy, in my experience, that's what I observed, if I don't sustain my energetic body and my de-intrusion or my de-intoxication with my body, my self-discernment go through the window.
Yeah, I just want to add that in the Tertulia Pensenosphere, that it's related to what we were talking about, Waldo said that the best way to improve your pensenosphere and of your energy and your autosanity quality, it's work with vibrational state. So that's something that is related to that. Of course, there is no division or separation, but.
And guys, I would like to know how you can improve our vibrational state. What's your technique you apply on regular basis? Because I mean, every day is a different day. So how we can improve our vibrational state? Because every day is a challenge. We live a different experience. So I would like to know if someone would like to share one technique or experience.
I usually use physical exercise a lot. I exercise every day. I actually do stretching a lot as well, because I think the more my muscles are stretched, I can do the stretching. I feel more the movement of energy as well. I look a lot my intake food, what I eat, the type of food I eat. I tend to find that carbohydrate tends, because of the impact that has my digestion, will impact my energy as well. I find that proteins is kind of better. Affection, I've been observing a lot lately how important it is, the connection with people, the display of affection, to keep that energy moving, the interaction with people, not only affection, but affection with myself as well. I find that's quite important. And keep my brain working. Reading, studying, discussing, interacting through ideas. And so it's actually, I don't find that vibrational state is only a movement of energy that is restricted to the vibrational, to the energetic body. I think the whole bodies, they contribute to that. So that's how I look at the, but one thing that I observe, if I have emotional things that I'm not talking or I'm not expressing, I tend to find the energy gets a little more difficult to move as well. So therefore, I think our emotional manifestation is quite important. Now, how we display this affection or display our emotions as well, it's very important, because if we repress, I tend to find that the body restrain, the energy restrain more. It's kind of, I can feel the energy.
There is another thing here, and I think it's really good points that you brought up, and also the mental soma. Because when you have your will, your thoughts towards something, and you start to think, well, I think for me, facilitate the energies, the flux of energies that go around. So it's, I think mental soma also have a part in the vibrational state. So it's a kind of the three bodies is influence each other, and also you can start the vibrational state for even both of them from the soma. If you exercise and you move your energy from the psychosoma, if you just, you know, you can feel gratitude, and that is, I think, is a sentiment that make us to be closer to vibrational state, because the homeostasis of the sentiment, and also by the willpower, your thoughts and everything.
Yeah, and there is one thing you talked about, the mental soma, no? What we read, or I've recently started to read the book History of Parapsychism. Fascinating. And so I can sit there and read that book, and my energy spans and so it's just, and I'm not thinking about vibrational state, João, I'm just reading, but that I observe the impact, the energetic impact that has in my environment, and the energy as well. It's actually, because I think the subject is really fascinating, and I don't know, the ideas, and you go deep, and so mental soma, yes, it's all interconnected.
Yeah, exactly.
João, I just want to comment something on the same
sure,
topic.
sure.
Yeah. So I use some like very, for me, useful scaffolds to improve my vibrational state, which is like Ana Paula said, the exercise, you know, and then the food I eat. I just want to put a little more emphasis on the food you eat, also exercising, you know, but exercising, I think it's like, you can do just stretches, right? And then keep your body in balance, balanced, right? But the food, there's one thing out there that if there are nutritionists here among us, please excuse me, but they unfortunately don't know anything about what is good for your health, you know. And then I've cut carbohydrates and sugar and grains, all the modern foods 2 years ago, right? To where I eat like I'm like a caveman, you know. I eat once a day when I eat, right? And like mostly vegetables, meat on the side. I don't eat anything like considered like modern, from the modern agriculture, you know, grains, carbohydrates, sugar, and that has a tremendous impact. That's huge, you know, I can tell. But on the other hand, that's just part of it. It's not because I was doing that my vibrational state all of a sudden I have superpowers. No. And I have to be honest, at the beginning I was like, I'm gonna tweak this and that and that, and that's gonna boost my vibrational state. Yeah, helped a lot, right? But for example, in my case, I see sometimes 100 people a day, because I work at a retail, right? So I meet people one after the other. And then one thing that helped me a lot to develop, to kind of, it's helping me actually, right? I'm not quite there yet, is to map my parapsychic signals. Because with that, I was like, oh, this is something is happening here. So I would just take a moment, stop, and try to cleanse that, you know, with vibrational state. So in my personal opinion, all of that, like all the above, like the exercises, the food intake, you know, a optimized routine, like to where you do things properly, right? It's very good. But what's helping me more on that is the matter of fact that I'm trying to be more cautious of my interactions with other consciousness, right? Because we are always exchanging energies, right? And then if you are more aware of that interaction, you start feeling the signals, the parapsychic signals, right? And with that, we start mapping them. And if you use the vibrational state to kind of take care of that balance, it's good, it's awesome, right? And then just to finish my comments here, at the beginning, when I was like, I'm not quite there yet, right? So I'm a guinea pig of myself. I'm just doing like some experiments there. And like a year ago, for example, in the middle of this process, I would have terrible headaches at the end of the day because I was seeing too many people, right? And it's like, they would come to me with demands not related to the service I was providing. And I was like, oh, what's going on here, right? So let's pay it, like what's that, right? And then I would have terrible headaches at the end of the day, right? And when I started mapping the parapsychic signals, and then every time when I feel something, which I already know it's mapped, it's there, I go there, I take the time to try to do my best. Sometimes I barely can move because it's so dense, it's so complex, but like once, like even 5% of a functional vibrational state, it's enough sometimes to kind of work one thing. But when you have things piling up, at the end of the day, you have that terrible headache, then you have a terrible night, and it's a snowball, right? So right now, I'm pretty much, I don't know, 8 months headaches free. So that's, for me, it's still sort of a victory, you know, if I can call a victory. That's like Balik a little bit there, but yeah, it's like a good achievement, let's say. Yeah, that was it. Just wanna.
That sounds like a victory.
No, thank you.
Can I just add one other thing? So on Thursday, I had a 2-hour-long bath listening to Beethoven, and my energetic work was fabulous. So just that state of relaxation, I think, can help us just to get back into our energetic body really easily, and you know, the mental soma works with it. So yeah.
I want to give an opinion. One thing that helps me so much and makes all the difference is meditation. When I'm doing continuously meditation, only concentration in the breathing or concentration in some good words, it helped me so much. When I'm not doing everything, it's not good. It helps me. Like mainly when I'm doing every day, it changes everything. All the bad things go out and I feel good. When I'm not doing everything bad. That's all.
Can I add something? Oh, Michiko was going to say something? No? I think what you're talking about has to do with, I remind a chapter. It's 256. I think it's the first chapter of the section. And it is about the ENERGOSOMA as an accumulator. So it is one way to describe it, because the ENERGOSOMA accumulates energy, whether good or not, or intoxicator or not. So I think all of that you are saying are about your experiences with this property of the ENERGOSOMA as an accumulator. So the food, exercise, the relationships during the day, all of that accumulates energy in the ENERGOSOMA. I think this is positive. But I would like to point out that I think the question about the vibration state is a bit different situation. All of that is fine, but the challenge to focus the will in the ENERGOSOMA and to install the vibration state, I think it's a different story. I think it's a different thing, because of course it depends on what you accumulate in your ENERGOSOMA, sure, because it is the vibrations happen in the ENERGOSOMA, but this ability is a challenge by itself, I think, don't you?
Yes, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And it's like I came across with that same chapter there. I don't recall the particular line there. And when I saw that, I was like, actually, it was on the on the last weekend, right? I was reading the chapters, and I was on the 256 there, and I saw the accumulator thing there, and I was like, oh, like after almost 2 years. Trying to figure out this process, and it makes completely sense. And just coming back a little bit on the previous topic we were talking about here, the self-discernment there, it's also like all connected there, because the sanity has a huge impact. Like once I was like Jeffrey was watching one of his short videos, and he says that the person who suffers more when you think badly about someone, it's ourselves, right? So that's on the same thing there. Like I'm taking a better care, like of the energosoma and then the holosoma, like what am I accumulating at the end of the day, right? Good energies, bad energies, right? I'm not saying that I want to be completely balanced all day long. That's not, if you want to assist others, you're going to have to get your hands dirty, but you want to be able to clean that at the end of the day, or right after. Sometimes a couple of days after, you keep that on the side there, like you go working with that. But like with the like, for example, if the end of the week, or if the end of a period of day, when you know that some situation was already settled, you can tell that that's also helping to improve your self-discernment, right? Because if you keep thinking like badly about something or someone, that's going to be intoxicating you, you know. So I think that's also related to the self-discernment there. So it helps you to improve that.
Well, guys, thanks for your sharing your experience, Ana, Renato, Kristen, and Pamela. That's why I ask you about how you can improve our vibrational state, because the better health conditions we have, or the better techniques, the better donor of good energy we can improve our environment. We can support the extra physical helpers, you know. So somehow we can help the real urbanization, you know. So that's based on our experiments, our practice. You can see the results, and so that's why I ask you how we can improve our vibration states. So very good, very good.
Wow. I just would like to share one experience, like a vibrational state. Yes, we need a will. We apply the techniques to move the energy. But I've had the experience where I was watching an opera, or I was watching classical music in a show, but especially opera. And I had the experience of having vibrational state. The energy, just the vibrational state, I was just fixed in that moment, in that situation, and then comes the vibrational state. And that it's very interesting. And the first time I've had, and I thought, what's that? And then I start to repeat in different situations, but not necessarily it happened. So it was some context, some specific opera, or the mindset or the environment that I was. It's very interesting. So, and this shows that our energetical body, the looser it is, the more we can enjoy those movements, no? The energy. It's like you went into tune with the energy of the environment, but yours as well. It's quite interesting. I don't know, does anybody have that experience? Did anybody?
It's interesting. Maybe
Yes.
could be a extra physical signal, retrocognition about your in the past lives. I don't know, because it's an opera. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes, it
Some
could be that.
Some classical music shows. Yes, and that's I started to go in different ones just to see how it was. No, that.
Or the emotional aspect of that, maybe. Also the emotions that exacerbate the energies too. I just want to say something that I agree with, is that I know that, for example, I can de-assimilate it, like drinking water, washing hands, EVPing, that helps sometimes, especially in the hospital. But that's not the main thing. The main thing is the technique and repeated technique and be able to apply it anywhere, anytime. I see that those things can help, but they are secondary somehow. That how I see it. And how I improve it, actually the thing that helps a lot helps more about that is repeating many times. That helps me when I'm struggling with the vibrational state.
On the same way, I'd like to share this because sometimes when we start moving energies from the top of the head to the feet, it's like something not so easy to perceive. And then many times after doing so, after some time, it's just like the energies start flowing, and it's very interesting because not only the movement of energies, but also somehow it's increased, and the potentializing, it's very, very interesting. And I agree with Juliana when we say that everything that we are doing to balance our holosoma and to prepare the solidity, the quality of our routines, our habits, the quality of our food, and also I'd like to say that the exercises with the chakras, and then when we exteriorize energies and we unblock chakras specifically, and also absorbing energies from nature. And for me, this is a very very natural. I think it's from other lives. I have this connection with nature, and for me, it's increased a lot the quality of my energies, and also the flexibility of how I deal with energies by themselves. Now, I'd like to share this with you.
It's a little bit like Indian people, no? The people that live in the nature, that know how to get the immanent energy and transform it and everything.
I think one way to summarize this point is to make a difference between indirect ways to move energies and direct ways to move energies. So indirectly, there's a lot of things which can be done, but directly this is the contribution of Conscientiology, isn't it? That one can, without nothing else, just the will, move the energies. But for my experience, I observe that when I study, it's easy for me to perceive the energies, and I use these moments to do experiments with my energies. So I can, for instance, try to install the vibrational state in different ways, slower or very fast, or with less or more intensity, or pulsing chakras, etc. So, but the thing is this difference between direct or indirect ways to deal with energies.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alexandre, because I have this feeling that we direct movement of energy is the key to vibrational state, because we are conscious of the movement, And my experience recently, I discovered a figure that I share with you, the torus, a toroidal figure, that when I start to move energy and feel energy like this figure, like a torus, I realized that there is a lot of things to know about energy in terms of connection between us and others, and even with the astrophysical, how can I say, centrais astrofísicas?
Astrophysical centrals.
Yeah, astrophysical centrals. Because in some way, we are all connected. And when we move our energy, we are not only moving our connections between our bodies, our toxins, but we are creating a possibility to connect with other dimensions, other consciousness. And this reflection about this figure make me much more aware about the importance of vibrational state.
Guys, talk about the vibrational states and chakras. I would like to ask you, why we usually start the vibrational state from the top of your head and not in another part of your body? What's your opinion?
I don't necessarily do that, so I'm just gonna.
I don't
I'll
either.
just start with my energy wherever it is and just move it.
Well, I usually do that, but I admit it's not mandatory. Of course, you could start from whenever you want.
I usually start from the top of the head or from the feet, but also I tried just to improve the vibrational state on on my head or the superior chakras, and also did some experiments with vibrational states with parts of body, yeah. And not only the technique, but of course experience different ways of doing so, working with energies well, and with changing energies with nature, with trees and with animals, cats. We have cats here.
So maybe I can add something. My mom taught me when I was younger, around 6 years old. She taught me how to make vibrational state. So I asked myself the same thing: why I can't not start from my feet or from my head? So in different courses here, different people make the MEBE in different ways. So actually, I think the better thing to do is to see how it works with you and manage the best way to feel actually something working on you. And sometimes I think, like here we have 2 chakras, and then our feet we have only one, the biggest one. Right? We know that we have a lot of chakras in the whole body through our whole skin, but I mean the biggest one is the most we have a most part of a flow. Okay, so I think when we start from here, it's more likely we have the able to be reaching 2 points at the same time, and the feet 1. So if we can get 2 in the right in the beginning, I think maybe the expansion and the ballonamento, would be bigger.
By the way,
I think.
No, sorry.
I think I have an hypothesis of that. If you look at the chapter 260, it's about the theories of the looseness of energosoma. There, it called my attention the technique of self-bathing, self-shower. I'm not sure how is it in English, but yeah, I think self-bathing or self-shower probably. And there's this technique which you exteriorize from your corona chakra downward. So Waldo even recommends to do that every 2 hours. So as a technique to get your energosoma loose. So perhaps we could understand like the start of the beginning of the vibrational state is like this self-shower. So you accumulate energy here in the coronal chakra region. So you will be, in principle, sterilizing downward your coronal chakra energies. This could be better.
And also the coronal chakra is a big chakra. I can feel it. So I don't know. I think it's like palmar chakra or chakras that you really can feel.
Yeah.
So that make it easier because of maybe it's a hypothesis of the flux of energy that we can get.
And where do you feel your consciousness? You know, like, do you feel it in your feet more, or are you typically here where most of your senses are, where most of the stuff is going on? And so we tend to feel it's here. So maybe that's why it's just it's first port of call, the thing that where your attention usually sits the most. It's not often in our stomach, or it's not in our thigh or our thumb. It's usually here. So maybe it's as simple as that. But again, there's no rules about it, is there? Obviously.
I think it's more like the description of the technique. There is everything that is told about the corona chakra, it's the main chakra, but also there is a didactical way of seeing things. The technique must have this step to step. And actually the aim is that you don't need it after a while. You can install your vibrational state immediately and without this step to step. So I think there is this important factor, there is the technique, the didactical way of doing it better or easily.
Yeah, so like doing it by the book, I would say sometimes I spend like an entire day, like Juliana said, with repetition, right? Trying to activate a vibrational state there, and I just can't. And on the other hand, sometimes it's happened with me before, to where something all of a sudden happened there, a demand, and I was with that strong, powerful vibrational state there, that it was like an airbag, you know, you hit the something and boom, you're there, like you feel it. And I was like, I wish I knew where the button is, you know, to where you just hit that in the vibrational state. So yeah, I agree with Juliana. At some point, we will know how to just do that and done. You're in the vibrational state. But so far, I think the techniques, I mean, they're helpful, and yeah, there's a reason why. Yeah.
I'd like to hear some thoughts about the emotions and psychosoma.
I was just thinking about Jeffrey's question earlier about memory and forgiveness, and I just wanted to, I think that kind of links in with the emotions and psychosoma as well. And I was thinking about this, and I think the mental soma helps with the psychosoma that way, that when memories become too overwhelming, it helps me to remember that actually my memories can be false. You know, they're just a perception. And really that perception is based on so many things. And so I think that the psychosoma can help the, sorry, the mental soma can help the psychosoma just to settle down a little bit and put things in perspective.
Guys, I would like to ask you about our vehicles. Yeah, we have 4 vehicles. About the psychosoma. Why is so important to human have psychosoma in terms of evolution? You know what I mean? Because have feelings. What's so important to have the feelings for human? How we can improve our feelings on a regular basis?
The last studies nowadays that are having, you talked about psychosoma, no, Ricardo, and now João is talking about this. in aging population, what they are observing, the more the person exercise their interaction with other people, and they actually have more empathy towards other people, the person tends to have more flexibility, and therefore they will have a better shape or a more healthy process of aging. So what we are seeing is, like now, we are having lots of studies due to the pandemic that people are isolated, and what is this reflecting on their bodies, on their memory, the level of cognitive deterioration. So yeah, I think it's really good that science starts to see the impact of the ability that we exercise our emotions, and I mean having empathy, interact with other people, but also having a knowledge of our emotions, our repressions, the things that we don't want to look at, and that we suffer inevitably. And this how will impact in all the other levels in our manifestation, especially now with the process of dementia. So I think it's very important. And you were talking about, Roberto now gave a course about that as well, how it's important we don't leave the two bodies dissociated, because it's almost impossible. But we be able to work together, the mental soma, our lucidity, our discernment, with our emotions, without repressing the emotions, but give a space for us to manifest our emotions and to start to manage that, instead of repressing. And I don't feel, I don't have empathy, I don't like that, I don't know. And what they are seeing, the researchers, they are looking at exactly this, the impact that the people that interact with other people have in the aging process, especially the brain.
Yeah, good point, Anna. Very, very good. And that's why I ask you, because the psychosoma, we have exchanged our feelings, because need to be natural, you know what I mean? If you think too much about our feeling, you can't be natural. So it's a challenge, I think so, because we need to understand better our personality, That's maybe the course of Roberto, mental soma, psychosoma, how they interact, and how our personality, how we can improve our traits, weak traits or strong traits.
Can I comment? I think it is because of because we need to be practical in order to evolve. If we were only mental soma, it would be too theoretical, I think. Of course, mental soma is not theoretical, but one other way to put it is to think that we need to be in the intraphysical, we need to evolve in the intraphysical dimension. That's why we have psychosoma, in order to evolve in the intraphysical dimension. But why is that? Maybe one answer is because we need to have links with each other. We need to have bonds to be connected, and the intraphysical dimension does that. And the psychosoma learns how to do that from the pre-human cycle, and then we need to excel in that in the human cycle. But in summary is that we need to be in the intraphysical dimension, and we need to have connections, more material connections, in order to feel, I don't know, to have more practice.
Yeah, that's interesting. I agree, Alexandre. And has something about, it's the more complicated one, at least for me, for woman,
Sure.
So complicated.
For everyone.
Psychosoma. And then when I read, there is two titles for psychosoma. One is psychosoma or emotional parabody, where he explained what is psychosoma as a body, and the other one was experiences of your romanticity. It is all about love and all about our relation. So it's interesting. How does relation create so many problems? Because it's something we are not maybe not used to. You know, we have lots of possession in earth. How is the level of love we have here in the earth, you know? How much we are egotistic in all these things is related to our love and our bonds with people. That's the thoughts I'm just, you know, bringing up here.
And I think we can link this to the first questions when we were talking about memory, because actually the emotions, whatever load we put in the experiences, they emphasize the experience, and this is how we improve our evolution, having the memory of the experience and learning from it, and so you can improve and develop another skills, or yeah, simply improve, keep improving.
And guys, why we still have some immaturities? Is because the psychosoma, or why? Immaturities. Why some people can't overcome my immaturity? What do you think is the most difficult thing happen in evolution? Someone has immaturity?
Well, talking about immaturities, I'd like to say that the first point, in my opinion, is the lack of experience. So this is the main point from one side, but from the other side, we have the point of intentions, and sometimes when we are not qualified with our intentions, then Magali said about the egotistic way of thinking, and this is something when you want just for yourself, then you prevent yourself from connecting to the others, and this is a kind of immaturity. And I think when we are talking about why do you have psychosoma, and why we are so influenced by this vehicle, yeah, I think before being humans, we are consciousness and extraphysical ones. So I see psychosoma in two ways, as a vehicle by itself, and also the connection of emotions and expressing our feelings. And in order to evolve to maxi fraternity, first we have to learn how to feel, or in how could I say this? Of course, we feel without learning anything because it's something natural from our essence. But evolving means prioritizing the quality of rational things, and then qualifying the relations with our emotions without repression. Because I'm with German birth, yeah, my feelings, I wasn't taught how to express myself, and then bit by bit, doing therapy, consciential therapy, and lots of things, trying using lots of different tools, I'm de-repressing myself and learning how to be more in contact. So self-affection and self-care, and then expressing these changing affections. And I think to maxi fraternity, this is a way that I see we are going to evoke this friendship, and not only with conscience, but also with conscience, because we have lots of good and big friends, ancient ones, that are consciousness. And when we're talking about psychosoma as a vehicle and lucid projections, we also have these feelings and good feelings and these connections. Yeah, I think something about psychosoma.
Yeah, I like very much, Luimara, your answer, because that's why evolution is so beautiful, because we rebirth to live with a different level of evolution, you know? We can exchange experience, yeah, a background, so a huge opportunity to learn with another consonants. Yeah, very good.
There is people here that if they want to talk, that maybe Daria, Andre, that haven't shared your opinions there, Irina. Feel free, guys, to come up, because sometimes we are here and, you know, we even have to have a feature here that's reaction. We don't have raise hands, but you can put also this reaction thing, so we can see who wants to talk, okay?
Hi, everybody. Hello. My internet connection was very weak, so I had to rejoin you again. I would like to comment on the vibrational state. My idea is that vibrational state is really a state of being or a state of mind. So that's in the case when you are installing it or when you are experiencing the effects of the vibrational state. Although the word state is usually considered as a very strict or fixed. So I always like to think of it as dynamics or a process, because it's always about dynamics, right? Okay, thank you.
Guys, I would like to put a good sentence. I like it. I will look at your opinion. Love. What does mean love for you? It's a kind of word. Is a universal word, but love is in terms of evolution. You know. So, what is mean love in terms of evolution for you? How you can improve our psychosoma based on this word? You know, because sometimes I will give my example. For example, you discuss, we argue with someone, a bad situation, but how you can improve your psychosoma after that? You know, how you can improve. There is sorry.
Can you repeat your question?
I put there is a sense of Waldo Vieira. He said, love is a self-rejuvenation of the personality of consciousness structure. I asked you what it means love for you guys, and based on this sentence.
Which chapter, João?
303. 303. Love is a self-rejuvenation of the personality of consciousness structure.
I would like to say that, in my opinion, love is a word that there is different meanings, starting with this feeling of attraction, connection, that even cells can have love in some way, But as we evolve, we become complex beings, and we have attractions to others, and that means love too. And when we are more aware about the universe, we have attraction to be part of the universe. It's another kind of love, a kind of, we used to say in Conscientiology, this maxi fraternity, the love for all, for everything. I think this is a kind of wisdom that we have to treat this as a main thing in our evolution.
Yeah, maybe it's the moment where the consciousness starts to, as opposed to things going inwards, so being centripetal, the structure of the consciousness changes and things start to be centrifugal. So the primary interest starts to be outside of the person as opposed to inside. My needs, you know, my problems, my stuff, everything's all about me. It becomes then more of an external focus in the activities and behavior, but in a deep way, not like in a light way.
I totally agree, Roberto. I don't know who said it earlier, but somebody talked about like that we're all connected. And I find that the more that I work with energy, the more that I realize we're all connected. Like me and the serial killer, you know, we're all connected. And so part of that is self-love and self-forgiveness as well for all the times when, you know, let's face it, we're not always perfect. And there are times when, yeah, I would like to pick up a gun and go crazy. You know, I don't act on it. That's my intelligence shining through that I realize that actually that's a very fleeting moment. I don't have to do anything about that. But the more that I can acknowledge those darker aspects of myself, the more that I can appreciate when others behave in dark ways or ways that I perceive as dark. Yeah, it's all judgment at the end of the day. And so when you feel that genuine love towards others, yeah, even people that you don't necessarily know in this lifetime, it doesn't mean you haven't known them before. Yeah, for me, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah, I agree now with Robert, what he said about the love, but I found very interesting that love has been for a long time involved with the idea of romantic love, no? And that permeates the way we think about love. But I think every experience we have in terms of relationship with the other person and with other people, no, that will change, because it's interesting the phrase that Professor Waldo says is rejuvenate the structure of the consciousness. And what I've been observing is to be able to love someone, I need to be more flexible. I need to understand more the other person. I needed to come out from the structure of what I think it should be and have more space to see what that person brings to me. So it's a kind of an exercise, a constant exercise, which you see someone in love, you look and the person is bright, the person is smiley, do things different in their lives. They actually speed up things that there was a little bit locked or they couldn't do, and that's what I think is a very practical thing. It's not the something in the cloud and we put in the philosophy. No, it's the day-to-day of understanding, coming out from that restricted way of thinking of you should do that, you are like that, or extension of what I want you to be, and more come down and see, okay, come up. I want to see you and I want to show who I am as well. So yeah, so it's more like that, I think, in my opinion. And it depends the experience we're gonna have throughout life.
I don't.
I'm sorry.
One opinion. I'm sorry. I like to think about love when I'm thinking the love of my parents, of my mother, of my father, because my mother always doing everything, even with her sacrifice. And for me, this is a big example, because when I remember their way to love me, it's giving me strength to face the life. It's, I don't know, I like to think about this family love about my brother, sister, and the family connection with love.
Yeah,
It's
there is something interesting that is when we see if they think about other lives and how we did bad things for someone, and then we come in the same family and we learn how to love that person, and that change a lot. Even if you know the past, after all that, you can forgive and you can bonding again with that person. I like that idea of sometimes we lose our memory in one life, or we don't have a memory, and so we can bond with people that once we have done something or they have done something. So I see love in the way of evolve. It's a really, really good role because it make us to go out of the selfishness and learn and evolve. I think it's a really strong tool to evolve.
I have a question. Maybe I was wondering, like, when I feel love, it's like almost a visceral thing from my guts, you know. When I love, when I was 14, now I'm 24. When I was 14, I loved like my inner emotion with like everything was psychosoma. And I was wondering, as long as with the pass by and the time passed by, and then we like 3 lives after this one, maybe in this life when I get older, would be the vehicle of my manifestation of love, maybe transcends from psychosoma to mental soma. I haven't heard about it yet, but I think would be a different way of love, would be like a state of mind to express my ideas, express myself, maybe. I don't know how the most evolved kind of human beings or not human beings think with love. If they manifest all the time, love is like part of the way of the way of their existence. When they are like fraternal every time, because we have another concept that is like love. It's universal, is God, but sometimes they mix one with other. When we say God, some persons understand love, and when some persons understand love, they hear God. And like it's a concept that we in different cultures we have like the same meanings. So when I think like my parents, I love you. I say to my mom, oh, I love her. I say to my boyfriend, I love him. But I better change when like in my 60, maybe I would like to have OFX, and maybe would like to love the concepts that I reach to make like a suspense, and I don't know, would be a way to manifest. So maybe love when mental some vehicles the way of love. It's I don't know. I would like to ask you guys. Do you think maybe when we are less psychosoma, how love manifests in mental soma? That's the question. How love manifests in mental soma? What do you think?
I was wondering the same thing myself about like Serenissimus and whether Serenissimus actually experiences romantic love. Obviously they experience love, but do they experience romantic love? I don't know, putting that out there.
I think I will think about things, because I totally be very totally sincere. I don't think I ever experienced in this life a mental somatic love or manifestation of love. But I would think that manifesting love from a mental somatic point of view will be being able to respect the level of each consciousness and admire that consciousness, and being able to accept and respect, and giving a mega fraternism, no? The mega fraternity, not judge the consciousness, totally not judge. And it's like the Super Serenissimus when goes, Professor Waldo describing projection of consciousness, when the monster goes and gives the energy, that she gives the energy that the consciousness needs exactly what the consciousness needs, not what she thinks. No? And I think, yes, would be respectful, not judgmental, and supportive, 100%, I think. And this romantic love or this sensation of attraction, it goes beyond. It's not, this, I think it's, I think Roberto said there, Roberto, I got curious, 2.0 love, name of a book to upgrade our meaning of love. I got curious about that. Maybe this helps us to understand. But yes, the concept of love in the way that you were talking about, I think will be beyond of what can grab right now. I think we grasp in this dimension, or in I don't know, in my level, evolutionary level. Roberto, what is the book?
Well, I think that I would like to say that our experience, the holosomatic experience, is our mental soma give names to things, and we give concepts, and love is a concept that we give to some kind of experience. And this book, Love 2.0 is a book very interesting that is giving another concept that is related with this very subtle connection that we have every day with our daily experience with others, with nature, and then we can have another kind of perception of love. And then I think as we evolve, we develop broader concepts of our experience. And then we have the cosmic consciousness. That is a very special experience that we expand our perception of the universe. We have a lot of amazing feelings about this connection with the universe. And then we develop another concept of love too. Then I think that we need to understand our emotions in terms of emotional concepts that name our experience. As Alexander said, our connection with the others, or something like that, that we are giving names. But we evolve in giving different names, and we evolve have giving different meanings for our concepts.
Not only person, but also animals, in our relation with other, also the nature, you know, the tree, all the elements that is alive. I think we can feel this sentiment.
Can I share what I think about love? I would say that love is a willingness to give something, give energy, time, ideas, affection, material things. Of course, when you put that in practice, you start to interchange that, not only give but also to receive. So I think it's this, but in different levels. It comes from just something somatic, like a passion, to psychosomatic with desires, and mental somatic is when this willingness, full willingness to give, becomes something you want to more universal. For instance, when you talk in Conscientiology about assistance or interassistance, I think this is love. why would somebody help others if it wasn't for love? This religious obligation idea to give yourself and to like a duty, this is artificial, and this many times harms the consciousness. So love, in summary, is this willingness to give, to, and I see that as like it has pleasure in it. It's not just like an artificial action. No, you feel good spending your energies, giving. When you love, this is a nice feeling. I think this is the way I see it.
Yeah, guys, that's why I ask you what's the meaning for you, because love, it's there is no barriers, you know, no in terms of race or everything. I ask you this question because can we give you love for someone doesn't like you? For example, you know, some people you're not good, you have a good relationship, you can give love for people, you know, to interact. So I think we are going up to next level, to mega fraternity, you know, that we just feel and give, don't think, just give, and respect that level of evolution.
Well, the Penta technique, I think, is founded on that possibility. Like you can sterilize fraternal energies to whatever, whoever it is. Of course, it's challenging because sometimes these different energies coexist. At least is my experience. Sometimes I have this problem with someone, and that conflict remains. But at the same time, I have good feelings for the person, and it's kind of both situations coexisting until I overcome that, and the cleansing process happens. But the Penta technique for me is crucial. It's very important related to that.
I'd like to share. May I share a technique from Professor Waldo? He used to say that sometimes you may connect with, to think the person you have loved, and then you fulfill yourself with this feeling and this energy, and then you put in your mental screen the one that the person that you have some difference or a disaffection, and then you involve that person with the energies that you plot from the love or the connection, the good feelings. So just to share this is technique. Yeah.
I'm now remembering that idea that was mentioned earlier. When you think bad about someone else, the one who suffers the most is you. When you think good about someone else, or when you're having loving thoughts and sentiments about someone else, maybe who benefits the most is you. And that could be in terms of, you know, I remember looking at Margalie in the past and thinking really, really good about her. And my coronal chakra just started tingling and expanding and so on. And so what a nice experience to have based on that thing. So maybe it's an approach.
There is a technique Professor Waldo presents in Projectiology, the technique of universalism, that he talks about. We go out and we talk with somebody else that's completely different from who we are, or read things that are completely different from what we are used to do or we used to read. And I think this is a nice, interesting passage to go, to start to understand love in essence, no? Because it's being able to see the other person for who they are. But if I have in my mind lots of schemes of how people should do or the race. So we are in the world now. We had a big issue with racism in Brazil. It's popping up lots of stuff in terms of racism, you know, ageism, feminism, machism, all ism that divide us in such a way and permeate our personality in such a way that we don't even perceive. And then we say, yeah, I love you, as long as you are who I want you to be, or who I want you to do, or, you know. And I think this technique is really a very interesting technique to do that, to help us to look the world from a different perspective and be able to come out from our ego and you see there is a whole world out there. There are lots of people that think completely different from us, but it doesn't make them less or more than us. They are just consciousness. And I think the base of love is that.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much, Anna. So guys, thank you. We're at our time. So the time went really fast. We had a lot of good discussions. Is there anything, Zas or João, that you want to say in closing?
Yeah.
I was going to thank you the team for the opportunity, for the project. Really good.
Yeah. And I would like to say thank you very much for everyone for coming, for the team, for the project. We are so excited to take part in this project. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you both. Thank you to the facilitators, and thank you to everyone for participating. And please continue the discussion in the forum and join our next meeting, which is the third Saturday of every month. So hope to see you there, okay?